talk today about a perfected survey response strategy. This is, of course, subjective, but we think we've developed one that's almost near perfection. I think we mentioned it earlier that that's what we strive for, but it's tough to get to. Hoping that we can kind of see how we got there. And our subtitle is kind of how COVID got us there. As mentioned, I'm Commander Adam Harris. I'm the Director of Accreditation and Patient Safety at the Las Vegas Medical Center. I'm also a Mission Corps Officer. I'm not going to go into detail about what that is, but if you know about it, I'll talk to you more afterwards if you have questions. I kind of went through this presentation a couple of times to figure out timing-wise what it's going to take. My intro slides, they don't take very long, but the live demonstration that I'm going to do at the end of it takes quite a bit of time, and I think it's going to be very interactive, a lot of questions and comments. So I'm going to just go through these slides pretty quick. So I want to get into the meat and potatoes of the presentation, which is the actual response strategy that we implement. So I have no conflicts to disclose, although we'll talk about one product in particular. Pretty much everybody here likely has access to it. I don't hold stock in it or anything, but just want to make that clear. For our learning objective today, we're really going to understand the need to really be ready for some of these unpredictable surveys lately. Develop a solid process for responding to these surveys if you don't have it already, with a key understanding the flexibility that's needed with response strategies. I want you to get a good idea how a collaborative tool like the one that we use at the Alaska Native Medical Center is utilized to really optimize our response to surveys. So I got a quick question for you. What are 2 guarantees in healthcare quality program? Kind of like the question, 2 guarantees in life, death and taxes. Not what everybody is too happy about it, but the first one on here, and we mentioned earlier, 100% is not really attainable for everything. That's a dagger to my heart because that's what I strive for. That's what I think everybody here strives for. But our inner values are enormous, and we have human errors a lot of times too. But the second one is surveys. Surveys are pretty much a guarantee in healthcare quality programs. Why are they guaranteed? Some people might not think they are guaranteed, but they truly are. You can read these 4 questions here. If you have answer yes to any of these questions, then you have to have some way of ensuring that you're complying with the requirements. You're meeting it. Somebody's going to hold you accountable, assess it, survey it, investigate it. So we can use those words synonymously with surveys, but that's the word I will be using from now on. So real quick, I like to do memes in my presentations. This is how people typically feel when external agencies arrive at your facility. And it's very justifiable because you have people that are not welcome typically, and they're looking at the stuff that you don't want them to look at most of the time. So there's a lot of anxiety, people being scared, running away. I probably shouldn't have used Buddy the Elf there because that's an excited scream because Santa's coming, but screaming nonetheless. So I'll go on to how you should feel when external agencies really arrive. And it's more welcoming, open arms, serene, calm type of a situation. And the main difference between these two really is the level of preparedness, level of confidence, the quality of care that you provide. You could be an amazingly highly reliable organization, but if you're not prepared for survey, you don't know how to put your best foot forward. And so that can cause anxiety and those prior meetings as well. As we mentioned, preparedness, preparation today leads to success tomorrow, like a pound of prevention is worth I've said that wrong. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure type of thing. It's all about preparing for the survey. That's how you get away from the first memes and get to the second ones. So initial questions, like I said, I'm just sweeping through these. For initial preparedness, these are kind of the main questions you need to ask yourself in your facility. With the kind of the big bulk of the answers relying on the last 2. But really, in order to be prepared, you need to know what's happening and what to expect. So who, why, when, where, and really what they could do and how a survey would actually look. These are a handful of organizations and external agencies that could potentially come to any of our facilities. Us at the Alaska Native Medical Center, we're Joint Commission accredited, so they're going to be the big accrediting organization. CMS comes to validate a lot of items. We have OSHA give us a handful of visits a year as well. But it really depends what your expertise and the patients are at your facilities based on the external agencies that are coming visiting you. And every one of these has a different process that they go through when they show up, different audits, different expectations. So these You can use a list, develop a list, answer those questions that were up there earlier, to really determine what to expect when the survey arrives. As for how to prepare, you really need to gauge your commitment as a facility. You can kind of have it as like a fuel gauge, all the way from, we're gonna pop them up here, empty to full. A lot of this can depend on resources available, leadership, kind of their commitment as well will be reflective of the facility as a whole. A handful of facilities are maybe less than full, but I beg to differ that, majority of them are at full commitment. At ANMC, we are blessed to be in that range as well. So we're talking about a handful since the subtitle is this byproduct of COVID. I'm going to talk about spectrums of response strategies as it relates to COVID. So I like to coin the terminology before COVID as BC, and the response spectrums there. We had a way of doing things before COVID showed up. As it regards to survey, there was all the way on the left, surveyors showed up, one individual, front desk, secretary, executive assistant, believe it or not, there are facilities that just say, hey, here's your point of contact. They're going to get you everything you need type of thing. That is a great way to burn somebody out within 5 minutes, because that would be extremely stressful, high demand, left and right, scheduling stuff, pulling documents, getting people. I would not envy that person at all. Then you have the full right side of that spectrum where it's a full-blown command center. So many people are in there that it's crowded. There's way too many people there because everybody wants to help, but they really want to be nosy more than anything. That's really kind of the opposite end of that spectrum where it's, there's so many people in there, it's not helpful. But there's a happy medium between there. Again, that was before COVID. That was the wrong button. This one? There you go. And then we have DC. So during COVID, everything was awesome. It really wasn't. Everything was canceled. There were no surveys really. There were a handful maybe of, virtual ones, but for the most part, patient care was focused, responding to the pandemic. And we began to shift the paradigm of, hey, guess what? This BC stuff might not be what we're going to go back to type of thing. Joint Commission wasn't even ready either. It's a good comic of them discussing, in the C-suite that they're not ready to move for the digital transformation, but they didn't know the wrecking ball of COVID was about ready to destroy their meeting and their plans soon, because we had to transition and we had to get ready. So COVID kind of threw us into this, ready or not, implement a lot of things that you weren't ready to. Technology was one of them. But as we slowly get back to what we were calling, back to normal or return to normal type of thing, there's a lot of questions still. The response spectrum was still similar to BC, but, all the way on the left, we have that one individual who might not even be there anymore. They might be completely remote. They might be a hybrid situation. To fully on the right, closer you got to going back live, you have full command center, socially distanced. People might be not even wanting to be there because they're in the same room with other people. It was, a gamut of even response spectrums within the response spectrum. And of course, we had technology like crazy. I don't know. Everybody had some of these. People are still using them, which is, again, a byproduct of COVID. But, it forced technology and remote and virtual stuff on us. And some of it wasn't good, but some of it was good and it stuck. And some of us are using some of these items today, like we mentioned, Zoom meetings. I'll talk about them as well. But yeah, that was kind of after COVID. And that is where we're still at today. We are in a I guess you can say hybrid type of model between, directly after COVID, where we're just getting a feel for our feet wet into the waters of what we should do after we're coming back from this completely different pandemic mindset to, hey, what really worked? What do we need to, completely stop? And so that's what I want to talk to you about today is how COVID impacted our facility and changed our response process for the better. If we didn't have COVID, I don't think we'd be having this, this discussion today, or even the implementation of the process that we do respond to surveys with. And, again, the strategy that we use now is I really like it for the main reason that if we had a pandemic again, we could completely switch to it. It could be completely virtual. We can do the survey response completely on site, but we like to do a hybrid, especially because with our facility, we do have a lot of home working individuals as well, and they can participate in our survey response because of this. Our VC process was everybody get in a room together. That's not even possible with the people we have remote working at this point now too. So we'll jump into what we use. We use OneNote. Show of hands if you use OneNote. Ooh, that's more than I thought. Good for you. Show of hands if you don't know what OneNote is. You don't have, you can keep it down. Yes, but it's okay. It's a Microsoft Office product. So if you have the suite at your home computer, at your work computer, you likely have access to it. Recommend opening it up, checking it out, seeing if you like it. It is a good tool for a quality healthcare provider or practitioner, but it's originally meant to help organize, mostly with taking notes. If you do take a lot of notes electronically, I mean, this is a good application to use. If you're a paper person, maybe not so much, but we brainstormed a way to actually implement it and use it as our sole collaborative platform for survey response when surveyors show up. So let's see. I'm gonna scroll here a little bit. What I'm gonna do now is I'm going to do an actual demo of the OneNote. So you'll see exactly what we use during our command center. It's really robust. I'll actually preface it a little bit. Obviously, you need a centralized location for your OneNote to take place, like a shared server or a cloud server for people to be able to access. It's key that, with this access, this restricted access, not everybody can get there. So there needs to be some kind of user management, permission management in that way. But without further ado, I'm just going to jump right into it. I want this to be interactive. If you have questions, ask questions. If you want me to stop or slow down, or maybe there's a link or a document you want me to look at, ask for it. We'll pop it up and we'll take a gander at it. But I want you to get out of this as much as possible, as much as you want, because it's possible if maybe you don't have a solid process for survey response. Take this time to really absorb it and get that information that you need. Of course, I'll also put my contact information up here for afterwards you get a hold of me, ask me questions and more information too about how it works. But we're going to switch over to the OneNote. Where is it at? Minimize, escape maybe. Did a bunch of buttons. One of these will work. This one, here we go. And here.
So you need to drag it that way.
Going to the right.
Yep.
This is weird.
Yeah, it'll be a little weird to get it up there.
And I can't see it either, can I? It's okay.
I can just
Duplicate it real
Yep,
quick?
I can do that.
Let's
Pause
try
while
it.
the magic behind the curtain happens.
While we're doing this, I also brought a couple tablets that we're gonna be passing out. The tablets will, they're what our scribes take. I'll also describe our scribes, but it's what our scribes take with them on their rounds with surveyors. It interacts with the OneNote at the exact same time. So I'll let you be able to see what the scribes do and how it interacts with our OneNote, what we call in our command center, our centralized location.
1 second, just resharing this. Just minimize. There we go. Oop. What?
I'll keep going.
Just keep talking.
I'll eventually show you the tab here, but what it is you open up the notebook and we give access to everybody that we want in there. If you're not supposed to be in there, I mean, you obviously don't have access. We made it easier recently to be able to grant and take away access, so we don't need IT assistance. But IT is a key helper in ensuring success for this response process. So essentially what happens, there it's mirroring. Perfect. All right. Let's go to the OneNote. Here it is. So I'm going to ignore this tab right here. This is confirm access. We're just making a couple of changes like I mentioned, but this is our welcome screen. When individuals who are in our command center, when surveyors show up, they come into the OneNote. Obviously, we'll have different processes for notifying individuals on campus. Hey, surveyors are here. We have what we call our secure texting platform. We have a group there that says, just a generic email or text goes out that says, hey, surveyors are on campus, report accordingly. They know what their responsibilities are. They jump in here right away. So when they jump into the OneNote, they also open up the Zoom link. So we have a Zoom link, that's our central visual audio portion of it. And then we have everybody on their OneNote on their laptops or computers, wherever that. We have a handful of people in person, handful of people remote, even in the lower 48s that are helping out. And also, C-suite, if they don't want to come over, they can, check in from their office type of thing too. So this should be over here. When they jump in here, then we ask them to go to the sign-in sheet. Sign-in sheet, we need to know who's available, if they're on campus or not, how to reach them. That's my cell phone if you want it. Their upcoming unavailability, because surveys can last multiple days at a time. So we need to know, hey, you might have a survey or a meeting or some kind of appointment today. You got PTO tomorrow. That's fine. We can work with it. We have alternates across the board to be able to accommodate. And then the desired command center roles. I then include a link here of those command center roles, but I will also show you them here without the description. So this tab right here is not available for the individuals to put their names into. This is for myself or some other command center individuals to assign roles. The important part about this is if your name is not on this tab, you should not be in command center. That is our rule that we hold fast to. You know how I mentioned BC, everyone's there, it's too crowded. Well, if your name's on this list, you're getting kicked out. Say, hey, thank you for coming. We'll let you know if we need you. We generally say, hey, just everybody come at first. We'll see who's available, who we need and who we don't need. And then we'll send people out and go on with their day type of thing. The colors are there on purpose. Colors are green, needs to be in person. Orange can be remote, or it can be in person. So we have a huge amount of remote availability for our command center response, which is very, very nice. I don't know if you had a big incident command in one location before, but that gets stressful. I mean, people feed off of each other, anxiety, heat, that type of thing. So keeping that a small group is very helpful. And then a lot of them being remote. Yes, question.
Surveyor, POC, and blue 1 and 2.
Yep. Great question. Surveyor POC is a surveyor point of contact. That one is usually the same thing as the command center lead, but if for some reason I'm typically command center lead, if I'm not there, I just had surgery and I can't get into, there, I'm stuck in my bed. I'm the command center lead, but then I'll have somebody be the one person that goes back and forth with the surveyors. We like to have one individual be in that communication person, although, surveyors going to request items from different escorts or people along the way. But really that communication that we were talking about is the root of a lot of problems. Most problems in command center, getting that request directly from the surveyors is key. Because you can get, a lot of hearsay, hey, they wanted this, here they wanted that. Did they really want it? One insider tip, typically I default, if I think that the surveyor asked for something and they haven't asked me directly for it yet, I default to not asking them. I make them remember to ask me for that again, because I've already told them I need to be the point of contact to ensure you get something. They forget about it half the time. So I'm not going to give you something that I know might be, negative or something. So if you're asking for it, if you really want it, let me know again. I'll make sure you get it. But it does. We have a hold folder if in case they're looking for it or they want it. But good question. Glue, that's kind of the all around holding us together, like little jobs, big jobs that don't go specifically to certain individuals. We have one in person because there's going to be some like physical stuff that needs to happen, and then a virtual one that can do them, anywhere else type of thing. So that's what the glue is. And then a lot of that is outlined kind of in this virtual command center roles description. If you're interested, get my contact information. I'll give you that as well. And then we have a general expectations card. If somebody's new, what the expectation is while you're in command center. But these are our list of positions. This is everybody under what I call command staff. Operations lead is a key individual. That person is typically also the document oversight person. Documents and needs are a huge need, a huge task for a survey response. So that one individual is typically over all of that. They work closely with the glue, who I'll show you once we get to the needs tab, who coordinates a way of collecting all that information. And then we have logistics lead and people under them, and they're basically the communication person and the person that's grabbing and getting stuff that we need. The stuff in green down here at the bottom, this is more, I forgot to mention the planning and mitigation lead as well. They're a key individual. If there are any kind of findings, trends, issues, they're the person that's assigned with, hey, is that really finding, figure it out, dig into it. If that is an issue that we found that the surveyors didn't see, get it fixed immediately. They're the person tasked with overseeing that stuff. This green stuff here is for virtual only surveys. We haven't used that for a while, but it just remains there kind of in the archive. Resources tab, we have a collection of information that is important to know, that we might need to know for everyone that's in here. So obviously we have the links to the command center Zoom room, the OneNote in case it needs to be shared. A lot of times, hey, we might be on a different computer or we don't have these favorited. So someone will say, hey, please send me that link. Super easy to go in here and grab it. Summary of kind of the response processes, variable flow sheets, how we print certain things, agendas, sessions, contact lists are big. This is more so for the logistics area. And then a miscellaneous group of documents down here related to other expectations, checklists, hotspots, IT items, different other directions that we can go to. And we don't really have a SOP, so a standard operating procedure, but kind of this response process is that SOP. This is a good place, as we debrief, we talk about stuff over the years, hey, it would be awesome if we had a location to put this. So this becomes our document repository area for people who need stuff, or if, we don't need to memorize how we do a process, we can jump in here to find some of the items. We also have an arrival checklist. This is something that love checklists, highly reliable process. Make sure we get everything done with this survey. Granted, we're still really busy running around like crazy when surveyors show up, but this is a key thing to say, hey, did we get everything done that we needed to right when they show up? So these are key items that with the designated individual of kind of who's responsible for doing it, that need to get done at some point, typically as soon as possible during this survey. And this will also be different for every process that everybody has for their particular surveys. I used to have another tab on here. I've gotten rid of it. If you are doing this, I would consider it as well. It said Adams, that's me, and it was locked. Nobody could get into it. It was password protected. It's super easy to have a password protected tab on here for you if you are the one overseeing this, to put your own resources and your own information in there. So just to keep people out type of thing. Everything in here can be modified by the people who have access to it. So keep that in mind as well. Granted, it tracks everything. It says who did what. I also have a template saved to the side in case someone completely blows it up. Pass it on a tablet early in a little bit. You'll be able to play with it. If you blow it up or delete it, I'm not going to be happy, but I'll be able to restore it. So just FYI. But just keep that in mind too. If you have some information you don't want to share, or you want to remind you to do something that you don't think other people need to know about, that's fine. You can create your own tab, lock it, keep people out. All right. I mentioned in the rules or earlier about scribes. So every one of the surveyors, we match up with a escort and a scribe. I think this is fairly standard. If it's not, I recommend you consider implementing it. But the escort is the individual, typically VP or C-suite level, that escorts them, is responsible for showing around, answering questions while they're here. And then a scribe, who is an individual that's paired up with the two as a team for the survey. The scribe is then our eyes and ears of the entire survey. They have these tablets right here, and they write everything they hear and everything they see. That can be a lot. So there's a learning curve also on what's important, what's not important. And I'll talk about that once we get to actual scribe tabs. But it works really nice because they have this, they have a little pen, and they can write everything that they're looking at, they're hearing. They can also take pictures, like here's a finding, look at this, check it out, send it to us in Command Center. We'll get it when it syncs from their tablet to our tablet type of thing. But again, there's a team between the escort, scribe, and the actual surveyor, and they stay together for the whole survey, except when the surveyor's in their base or needs to go to the bathroom or request privacy or something. Granted, there are a handful of surveys that do not allow you to have scribes or escorts. You can't force yourself on them, but for the ones that allow you, definitely beneficial, especially because since it's all electronic, there's a good record. You can keep track. After, when you're doing action planning and stuff, you can reference a lot of this stuff as well. So Preston, can you hand those two things out for me? We got two tablets here. We're going to dive into the scribe tabs here. So we have a collection with OneNote. You can collect a bunch of tabs together. This is a scribe section. Were those unlocked, by the way? Okay, cool. Play with them in Task Bomb. But what number are you? 3? Go ahead and type on 3. Put something there, test, whatnot. So right now we're in scribe tab 3. This is default. So you can see she started to update in Scribble here. The connection really is a important thing. In order to get an update on your side, the tablet has to sync from their side, then it has to sync from our side. It automatically syncs on, I don't know, like a 30-second basis or something. But if for some reason you have something really important, you can go ahead and hit the sync button at the top real quick, and then it'll push the sync over, and then it'll update us. Who's got what number in the back room? Someone's got one back there? You got one? You can go ahead and try to type something too. I'm gonna do number 2 just for, oh, I gotta turn it on. But this is essentially our process. You can see, we want to know where you're at all times. So if you are, on the 5th floor, you tell us 5th floor, and then you start typing your notes. If you're in a new location, we like to have a new page every time. So we tell them to add a new page. Key items that we expect with scribes is we want to know who's being talked to, who's present. The individual that is, all people that talk to a surveyor, we need to know about, because proactively we are grabbing their HR competency folders and we're getting them ready. We're getting them ready because we know surveyors are going to ask to see competency folders related to people or staff that they've talked to. Granted, they're not going to talk to everybody, but we already have a good idea, kind of the pool that they're going to pick from, type of thing. So I just did a scribble right there, and then you can see it come up on my screen here. So just so I can kind of see how fast, sometimes it really depends if it syncs or not. So you can go test, underline. I'm going to hit sync real quick to make it push to me. And it's sync there, and I'll sync here, and it should come across. What'd you say? So let's just take a little different approach. Yeah. So yeah, for pictures, I mean, this also, whichever tablets you use, there's multiple different ones. This is a Surface Pro tablet, but you'll have different options to do this. So, I mean, with ours down here, we just hit this button. This is the picture icon. And so I'm just going to take a picture of everybody here. Took the picture, then I'm going back over, and then there's an icon at the top that says insert. And so I can just insert it anywhere, and it should insert. Maybe it was a big file. There it is. And then so you can drag it with your finger, and then whatever you can say, hey, if I took a really blurry picture, I apologize. Wait for it to come up. Wait for it to come up. But as soon as that comes across, like you can circle it and you can say, hey, check this out, or here's the finding type of thing. And that's how you can kind of communicate that way. Granted, it's not instant, again, because it depends on the tablet from syncing, and then the other person, the other user, to also sync on their end. Pictures are big, so it can slow down a little bit too. But here you go, it's kind of coming up and loading. But you can see, that's where it's at any given time. But it's very handy. And then at some point, it might be smaller. I can come in here, I can blow it up. Or if, for instance, I have a question about it, I could go in here and I could just type or I can go, what is that type of thing. I gotta spell it right. But I have my OneNote set up to be only red text. So anything that I type to the surveyors, or not the surveyors, the scribes, they know it's coming from me, type of thing. Lots of times maybe I won't be able to read handwriting, or they're asking for something that's not too clear. I can say, hey, can you give an explanation or further clarification on this? And they know that the red text is me communicating to them, type of thing. You sent me a message on 3. I was stealing this. Thank you. It's fine. You can have it. I forgot to talk about the other stuff. So yes, we want them to notate the people that they're talking to, maybe the staff, the nurse that was taking care of a patient that they were looking at. But we also want to know patients that they're talking to, because they're going to be doing chart reviews later too on certain individuals when they go back to their room. We have chart reviewers in our command center who are proactively looking at the charts of these patients that are being put in the scribe notes. They're going in, looking at deep dive, saying, hey, is there anything in there that we can potentially correct right now? Obviously, we can't, change stuff in the past, but is there anything that we need to potentially look at or have them address proactively at this point? If there's anything in particular that the surveyors need, we have it placed here. So like maybe a policy and procedure they want to see when they get back, or they want a list of 10 patients from the CCU that they're in. They'll let us know right here. Typically, I take the scribe's request for their word. Other than that, people that are not the scribes, I don't. I try to confirm with the surveyors what they're asking for and asking. If it's not clear, then I'll confirm it. But oftentimes, the scribe will let me know exactly what they're looking for, and we'll have it ready for them before they even get back to their room. And surveyors really love that and are impressed by the efficiency that, hey, I just asked for this and it's already in my computer. Then we also got potential concerns and findings. This is where they can put, yeah, here's an issue, we're getting cited on hand hygiene. They obviously told me that, or they're really talking about consent, watch out for that. Myself and operations and pretty much anybody who's getting a little bit bored in the command center are always browsing through the scribe notes, the pulling out tidbits here and there. Hey, did you see this? Making notes of what's going on. I have an individual in the command center called the recorder. We'll talk about the other tabs in a little bit, but a lot of the times I'm pulling out of stuff in the scribe notes saying, hey, this is a person contacted, please put on the contact list. I'll say, so-and-so, please put Jim into the contact list, or, Jane Doe needs put in there, medical record numbers. All this stuff doesn't just live the scribe notes, it gets pulled out and put into other places of our OneNote, which we'll talk about. But I wanted to just talk about the scribe part first before I talked about those other tabs, because it gives you a chance to kind of look at the items and play with it a little bit. It would not. There's one, some tablets do. There's a keyboard on OneNote or on the Surface Pros where you kind of write and then it converts to the text to put it in, but that kind of adds a middleman and gets a little bit of lengthy type of thing. We try not to use messy handwriting scribes, so that gets difficult, but that's not possible half the time. We got limited resources. But I get it. But that's why I have a kind of I call them the recorder. I say, hey, so put this in this location. They do it for me, type of thing. So that works out really good. Other questions? Yes. You definitely can. Yep. You can hyperlink enter OneNote, and then you can hyperlink to, I'll show you in a little bit our needs tab, to explore folders, and then you can hyperlink to websites as well. There's someone back there. Yeah.
Sounds like you do this step and then you have somebody do a secondary step. Does that go all digital? Do you do anything with it when you're done? Like, do you archive it? Do you save it? Do you reference it? Do you trend any of it?
So when we are done, right? When we're done, I take a copy, put it in my folders, and then I start over again for the next one. We have a blank one ready to go.
Word document that you're
nope.
Or like that they take the scribe information into, or do you create like a report that goes with your survey crew report?
It stays in this format. So for archive sakes, for referencing sakes, typically the information that we need from the scribe notes are already pulled out and placed into different tabs where it's easier to organize and easier to copy paste and pull information from. So, but there's of course times you might have overlooked something, or you need initial nitty-gritty details related to a finding that you didn't know of at the time. You can go back in and find it and look at it and say, oh yeah, they were really looking at this and this is what they were talking about, type of thing.
It's more for like real time during the survey to get all the cross communication so that the entire team that may be throughout this whole huge facility is communicating together. So I can see another scribe on another unit, they're starting to really look hard for it, sterile processing, then I will know what to kind of be looking for on my floors. And then, like you said, keeping those documents flowing to them. Because they have updated their documents uptake system. So you now load everything to their website.
You can, that's optional still.
Oh, no, it is not.
Optional, are you talking Joint Commission?
Yes.
Oh, well, it's still optional for us. We had a survey 2 weeks ago.
Oh, well, we
So-
surveyed at the beginning. I might know why.
Are you critical access?
No, we are not, but I think I might know why. It was so broken when they came to survey us. They may have suspended it. They had me talk.
That's
with
possible.
Regional.
IT issues all the time. All time. IT is, you can't live with them, can't live without them type of thing. So. But we kind of have an electronic process I'll talk about too. We don't do anything in paper. We do not give them paper. Every requirement that we have needs or whatnot, we say, please scan it, send it down to us. It needs to be electronic. We give the option to the surveyors to print in their room if they want to see it in a physical way. Otherwise, it gets sent to them electronically, and I'll show you how we do that. Did I see another question? Oh, and also to address one other thing. trending, since only this is restricted to command center people, we have trends being pulled out and identified, and then the logistics person shares that with the hospital. Say, hey, they're looking at hand hygiene, they're looking at consent. Make sure if it's on your unit, you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's in these areas. So we try to identify those things, because surveyors, they have their subject matter expertise, and they have their what they look at for every single survey. And so that's what they're going to focus on. And you can pull that out pretty quick, looking at the scribes and notes that they're writing.
Once they kind of go in place, they look everywhere.
That's true.
So,
It's already gonna be a finding, but they're just seeing how, how much it happens throughout the hospital, how widespread it is. All right, moving on. Yes, sir, Jay.
I have a question about, do you ever open a notebook and share with the surveyors?
Never.
Why not?
This is completely internal.
Real
Well,
question.
this is completely internal.
The tab and dropping your documents, they can send you questions.
You're getting ahead of me here, but yeah, I'll show you what we do for that part. We do we have, I'll just talk about it. We have every surveyor that shows up, they get their own laptop. So they get their own laptop. It's got EHR loaded on it. Half the surveys that happen, they don't want to have access. They shouldn't have access. If we have drivers that help them through the EHR, some of them want to do it themselves. And that's perfectly fine. They can. But also in that laptop is a folder to explore. So we have a shared drive that, the only location they can look in that folder is what we call surveyor accessible files. And so in that area, that's where we put everything that they're requesting, everything that they expect to be seeing. We can pull it off, we can put it back on, type of thing. As for requests, they have my phone number, they have my email. They can request me real quick. We're in a command center around the corner. We don't really let them in that room either, because we're brainstorming how to respond to this survey. But I'm always going back and forth. Maybe not so much with this right now, but going back and forth often to figure out, hey, do you need anything? Let me know. Half the time they get sick of me going in there so much saying, what do you need next, type of thing. All right, that's scribes in a nutshell. That's constantly going. It gets crazy when you got 5 scribes with 5 surveyors and you're trying to monitor every single one of them, figuring out, this information needs to go here. This is the needs that we need to pull from it. That gets pretty chaotic, but it's less chaotic than we had BC, which was like print every single page, put it on the wall, pull it off, type of thing. A lot of physical things happening in person. But speaking of that, this collection of tabs right here is called posters. The reason it's called posters is because these are posters that used to, I gotta exit out of here so you can see more of them. These are posters that used to exist in its physical form when we had a command center. We'd post them across the room, these different types of posters. So it naturally converted one-to-one and a little bit more into OneNote. This one right here, the needs, is probably the most important, because this is what really, our command center is focused on. What do you need as a surveyor? How do we get it? So basically, when Joint Commission shows up, it's kind of nice for us because they've already given us this list of like 52 documents that they want before they show up. Awesome, we got that ready for them. Those are already in their folder, ready to go when they show up. But, if CMS shows up, they come with a big list of documents, or if it's a for-cause complaint survey, they come with a big list of documents. And that's when it gets crazy, because then, you got to get all of them in here. You got to get them pumped out, assigned to who's going to pull them, and get them to them as quick as possible. But typically throughout the survey too, you'll get miscellaneous needs. You'll type in the description here, who requested it, so which surveyor is what this is referring to, who's collecting. We're going to assign a particular individual about who's going to collect it. And then if it takes a while to get, we want to know an ETA, because sometimes stuff just sits for a while, or maybe they sent it and we have no idea. Everything that we request goes to one universal email location. We were finding a lot of times people try to send me stuff and I'm not looking at my email. I'm too busy at that time. We're trying to send somebody else, maybe our logistics person who requested it, type of thing. But no, we request everything go to this email address. We have a handful of people monitoring it. Once the item is received, our glue is typically the person who's in that folder, pulls it, puts it into a received folder. Received folder then is evaluated by typically the document collector. Is that adequate? Is that matching what we want? If it is, they then move it to the approved folder. From the approved folder, it's then relabeled to exactly what the description request was, and also by the name of the surveyor who requested it and the number with the needs, so we can keep track of exactly what it is. And then we move it over into their folder. It's available. We mark it as complete on here. So that is our electronic process. Thank you.
Because as you know, they will ask by one name. We might not have the document named that way.
Yep.
So when you're giving them multiple documents, there are times they get confused themselves and think, oh, you didn't give this to me just because of the name.
It is true.
That is,
So naming's key, and lots of times too, they'll be, hey, we want to see this, and it's composed of like 20 different documents.
yeah,
So then we can create a folder within their shared folder with that exact thing. Say, hey, it's all in this folder for this one request that you had and the 20 different things under it. You said sometimes they forget what they request. You know, we've had lots of surveyors who show up who don't even know the list of 52 documents that they are required to have when they show up, type of thing. So it really is key for you to understand, you know, what they're requesting and actually where it's at, because half the time they'll say, hey, we want this. Me as the command center lead and knowing what the documents are, I already know it's in there. So I'm not coming back and say, hey, we need to collect this. I already know, hey, it's already in there. Just reference, you know, number 12 within the, you know, already accessible documents list too. So that's it in a nutshell. That's how our process works for receiving or requests and sending out or getting them the request. And we receive good feedback. It's going to kind of hurt, I think, when and if they make us go to the cloud, because it kind of will get rid of this process a little bit here.
it is.
But I'll try to push back and say, we already have a really good process. Please let us continue to do it, but we'll see what happens.
You might win. Sure that you add that to your recent survey evaluation, because it sounds like they came to us and came straight to you. And the cloud was so broken that they requested from Chicago not to use it.
Well, I tell you what, when we were in the middle between, you know, during COVID and after COVID, we actually had a fully virtual survey from Drain Commission, and they used it too on that, and there were some problems. So they have a little bit to work out. Again, IT problems. IT can help, technology can help and be amazing, but it can also be, you know, a huge nightmare at the same time. This tab right here, this is the charts for patients viewed. So, you know, that was kind of a section on the right of the scribe tablet. I let our recorder know, hey, put this medical record number in here. We'll grab it, medical record number, initials, location, and any notes. The recorder doesn't typically put notes here, but this is kind of where our chart reviewers, which this is their tab right here, kind of blank, but they go nuts on this tab. They have their own pages and everything. But they review all those charts, and then they'll put specific notes, say, hey, this is what we found. This was an issue. This was fixed. And so they summarize pretty much everything that was relevant in their chart review on this tab after we get the information that, you know, that was looked at or questioned. Staff contacted, where again, we put everybody here related to who the surveyors have talked to. There's typically two sessions. One's kind of an HR session, one's a medical staff session. So med staff also wants to know what providers might potentially be asked to be talked to and look at their comp files and stuff, because we can try to get those ready ahead of time. Gives us a few more hours to prepare. If we know for a fact that something's going to be a finding, we put it in the surveyor findings tab, location, description of the finding, and any resolution if possible. It's always good to try to fix stuff while they're on site. Sometimes you might get lucky and they won't even cite you for it, depending on what kind of survey it is. That's, you know, our biggest wish. But at the same time, they might put in the report, hey, this was this finding, it was fixed. Then in your action plan, it's super easy to say, hey, you know, they said it was fixed. We don't really have to do anything. But we'll ensure we're sustaining compliance too. So we keep track of all surveyor findings, items that, you know, we've noticed could be a finding, but we had no indication that the surveyor was going to cite us for it. We put it in here as well, because obviously we need to fix them and we need to add it as priority. Our mitigation lead takes the lead on resolving this and figuring out how to solve those as well. I'm going to skip to the safer matrix. Because we're doing commission, this is how they display their findings on a safer matrix. So we place them in here every day after their survey. They have it updated. We'll put it here and keep it kind of together so people are aware and know what's happening. We have a kudos tab. It's very important to keep track of everybody that helped you. You send out thank yous, send them maybe a gift certificate, card or something, some swag. At the very least, some kind of thank you note or call out. This also goes for surveyors. Often say, hey, you know, this department did amazing. It was the best I've seen in this area or that area. Put that in here, make sure it's called out, and you share it either, you know, publicly after the survey, during debriefs or whatnot too. Hot wash, these are items that don't necessarily need to be fixed right now, but need to be addressed. Oftentimes improvements in the survey response process go in here. So a good example is maybe a survey showed up and the call tree didn't execute. I don't know why. It doesn't matter now, they're here, everybody knows. we'll put it in here, say, hey, call, treat, and execute. Afterwards, they'll come back in here, we'll look at the hot wash list, figure it out, try to prevent it from happening next time. So those are the types of items that don't need, they're not surveyor findings or stuff, but if we need to just put it on the back burner, we'll address it at a later time. So it's important to keep track of those. And then the trends tab, that's where we keep track of the trends. It's just blank, but it's a general place of where we include, hey, what are they looking at? What are we going to share? And you've noticed there's a date yellow highlight in all of these. That's because every day we'll start the tabs over again. New day, new tab, so it becomes a new page. And yeah, keep that in mind when you're doing, if you're doing a OneNote and you're doing this, every one of these tabs you need to save as its individual template, because watch, if I hit add page right here, it adds, it adds the exact same thing from the last one. If you don't save it as a template, it'll just do a blank page and that'll cause frustration because you have nothing on the next page that you've created type of thing. And that essentially is a OneNote. Oh, I don't need to create that, but I'll fix it later. As a whole. Again, key individuals to make this successful. IT is clutch. We have typically an online IT person and a physical IT person to respond, just because there's people in the room that maybe have computer issues. There's people virtually who can't connect to something. They're able to help troubleshoot a lot of that. And that's, there are many times when you have downtime too. And as you can see in the orange, there's a lot of people online. They might not be used most of the time, but when it gets hot and heavy, everybody's used. So it's important to them to have stuff to keep them busy. Everybody's got a normal job and we have to work this into our normal busy job and continue providing safe patient operations throughout the hospital. So we encourage, hey, just keep doing your normal job. If you're not being called on, just keep the camera on, be listening for your name, and I'll call you out when I need you type of thing. And so it's pretty good because they're probably just working from home anyways. Just putting me in the background until we call them out type of thing. That's it in a nutshell. What questions do you have? Yes.
Would you put your corrections in here?
We don't use it after survey. This is survey response only. We have different processes for plan and corrections. It also depends on the survey you had because they have different processes. Drain Commission gives you like 60 days to get your action plan and proof that you're done. CMS wants to know within 10 days what you're going to do, then you have up to a certain amount of time to get it done afterwards. We have different collaborative platforms that we've created to kind of centralize and respond to action plans. Anything else?
Hopeful that you can share a version of this that we can put on a resource tab for facilities.
I would like to. I'm going to try to figure out how. The issue with OneNote is all these tabs are different files and folders. I might be able to zip it. I'll have to ask IT exactly. But I know in the past when I've done similar presentations, I'm not able to share just because of how big it is and how it's weirdly structured. So that's why for the longest time we couldn't even put it on the cloud because of that. But we recently have been able to move over to the cloud. So hopefully we'll be able to share it at that, because we're able to put it on the cloud now too. I mean, we can probably print and save all this. Also, I'm guessing, is this presentation gonna be available to everybody as well? So that'll be helpful too.
Other questions? I have a question for the long-term care people who are looking at Tina. She's been around forever. When I was going to mergers or CJ, you helped me with my careers. So, anyway, state ourselves. Did they ever allow or anyone ever do escorts with CMS for long-term care or scribes? Never experienced it myself. I'll bring you the microphone so you can talk. Kind of walk over.
I would say not formally, don't really invite that. I think we have spotters today, so that we know what direction they're going and what they're looking at and what interview them. But yeah.
Yeah, that's clutch. The CMS surveyors typically, they absolutely don't allow scribes. They oftentimes, depending on surveyor, preference, will allow escorts. It is frustrating at times. They don't like chart reviewers, but half the time they don't know how to get something out of your chart anyway. So it's very frustrating when they like to do it themselves. So we really encourage, hey, please let us show you where it's at type of thing. Otherwise, you have to have alternate processes for trying to figure out where they're at and what they're looking at. Over a decade ago, we got threatened with obstruction once with trying to follow surveyors. So keep that in mind as well. Don't get too nosy. I guess they can throw a book at you in that regard. But we have cameras. A lot of people have cameras. You can kind of see where they're going at. We're implementing radio frequency ID in our facility soon. So it will be in every single badge. So we'll be able to track them based on the badge that they wear. That'll be even easier. All right, I'm gonna talk about my takeaways because we right on time here. Start now, get organized, prepare for anything on the upcoming surveys. If you haven't yet, consider moving electronic processes, not everything, physical in person. And, if you need to, definitely mirror this. If you want to, you can do it one-to-one. I don't care. I've been told, hey, you should try to patent this and pay for these type of things. But I don't got time for that. So I'm here to help you guys share it, use it. As long as it helps out with your survey response, I'm perfectly fine. And again, I'm here to help you. My contact information is at the end. You can give me a call, shoot me an email. I'll help get you the information you need related to it. It's not working. We'll go here. There we go. So that's it. That's our time together. And that's my contact information if you need it.
Thank you, Adam.